We just bought a new home with a 30-year mortgage, but I want to pay it off a lot faster than 30 years. And in this video, I'm going to share my plan to pay this home off as quickly as possible. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Mary and this is Pennies Not Perfection, where we handle money without trying to be perfect because you can always overcome past mistakes. I have paid off over $82,000 in debt in my life, from student loans to credit cards, and all sorts of money mistakes have been made in my own past. But we're now on the path to financial freedom and creating a life that we love thanks to personal finance. So now I'm going to share a few details about the mortgage. You can also watch my video where I went over the closing disclosures of the loan that gives a little bit of info about this. You can see all of the numbers there. But this loan is $364,500. That is so much. Our first home that we bought, the home that I'm filming in right now, we paid $158,000 for this house, and now we have a mortgage, just the mortgage, not even the total house price, a mortgage of $364,500. It's a lot. That's why I created the plan that I'm talking about, and just having a plan makes things feel so much better. I will say that this new mortgage will take us until March of 2033 to get to 80% equity. So we will be paying for years, 8 years before we get to that 80% of the house owned, the equity. Of course, that does not consider appreciation in case the house does go up in value. But I find that most people rely on appreciation when they're buying houses instead of maybe their house doesn't appreciate and they need to go off the numbers that are on the amortization schedule. So if we pay as planned, it will take us 8 years to get that next 10% of our mortgage paid off. We put 10% down on the home when we bought it, and then it will take another 8 years to get 10% more equity. Of course, that's how mortgages work. The interest is upfront, but it's just always wild to see those numbers, especially if you don't plan to stay in the home forever. And honestly, I can't commit to staying in this house forever because I don't know what our life will look like in even 5 years. So we do plan to pay it off faster so that if we live there forever, great, we have a paid off house. If we need to move and sell, great, we have a paid off asset that will roll into the next house. We also are paying private mortgage insurance on this home every single month. $45 goes to that. It will automatically drop when we get to 80% equity. So that 80% equity is what I'm going to reference quite a bit in the beginning of this video because that is an important number for us. It will automatically make our payment per month less, and we will own more of the home. Our monthly payment is just over $2,900 per month, and the amount of that going to the actual principal and interest is $2,319.57. The rest is money for escrow, which is going to pay our property taxes and our homeowner's insurance. Of the $2,319.57 that's going to the actual mortgage company, the very first payment is $337.60 to principal, and then $1,936.41 to interest. Yes, almost $2,000 just to interest on the loan of this home. All of that gives you a little bit of info about the loan. In addition, I am someone that wants security in my life, and I had a family home when I was younger that had a foreclosure on it. So my mom went through a foreclosure, and the home that I feel like I grew up in is no longer in our family. And because of that, I personally value a paid off home, and I want to give that to my family, to me, for that feeling of security and peace of mind, knowing that as long as we pay our taxes and insurance, no one's going to be taking our home from us. Debt can be a tool, and I use it as a tool very often in my personal financial life, but I don't want a huge mortgage on the home that I live in as my primary home. With all that said, let's talk about what we're actually going to do to pay off this home. The number one goal for us is to lower our monthly payment after the first year. We are really going to try so hard to get our payment lowered so that we can put more money to the principal of this home. We have a couple ways to do that. Number one is to drop the private mortgage insurance that I mentioned earlier in this video. Then the second option is to put a big chunk of money to the principal of the loan and do a recast. If you recast the loan, you will be paying less per month, and we really want to do that before the property taxes go up. Usually when you buy a home, the property taxes will go up, so that initial mortgage payment that you're paying isn't what you're going to be paying forever. And I am pretty sure that in a year we will be getting an assessment of a higher amount for property taxes. So I want to make sure, in addition to being able to pay that, we are able to reduce what we pay monthly for just the mortgage payment itself, so that overall we're kind of in a position where we can continue to pay off this loan faster. That brings me to number 2 on my list, which is to save 10% to do that recast. We want to recast the loan that we have in a year or less. That's pretty ambitious because I checked with my mortgage lender and generally they want 10% to do a recast. So that means with a $364,000 loan, we would need like $36,000. Do we have that currently? No. Will we have that in a year? I don't know. It took me 3 years to save up $30,000 that I applied to the down payment of this home. So it's a little bit of a stretch to think that I can do $36,000 in 1 year. But I am pretty motivated to make this work. So the sky's the limit, right? This could be possible. That is basically the highest priority of anything else that we're doing. So saving up as much money as possible so that we can recast the loan, get the lower payment, and then it'll be a lot easier to do the next 2 things on the list. I'm not going to rule out doing a refinance on this loan to get a lower interest rate, but I can't guarantee that rates are going to be lower than what we have in a year, so I'm not going to have that on my list for now. The third thing that we'll be doing is setting up biweekly payments. Biweekly payments are amazing and so helpful, not only for budgeting, in my opinion, as a paycheck budgeter, but they are really, really helpful for paying off your loan faster. That's because you're making 13 whole payments per year without even really noticing it. And that extra 1 payment goes straight to principal on the loan. It pays it off so much faster. And because it's easy to set up, I plan to do that. However, to do biweekly payments, you have to be 1 month ahead on your mortgage in order to do it. So that means we have to pretty much set it up right away. There is no payment for the first month of the mortgage because obviously you just bought the home and you put money for that payment. So it starts kind of the next month. So for May of 2025, we don't have a monthly mortgage payment on the new house. We do June 1st. So for May, my plan is to basically make a mortgage payment today. I do have $3,000 that was left over from the money that I'd saved up for the down payment. I had $40,000 for the down payment. Then during the month that we were purchasing the home, I just cash flowed the earnest money, which was $4,000. So I have $4,000 left in the actual down payment fund. I'm going to use that money to make the $2,900 monthly mortgage payment, and then I will be a month ahead. So now I can set up biweekly payments. That's the goal, at least. I haven't actually set it up yet, but that's the plan so that we can get ahead, get on biweekly payments. And as soon as I have online account access, I am doing that immediately. And then the final thing that we will be doing is paying as much as possible toward the principal as we go. So every single week, I'm going to also be making payments toward the principal of the loan so the balance goes down. And this is just something that will help with the recast. I'm not saying these are going to be large amounts because the recast fund is going to be the top priority, but every time I make a little tiny principal reduction payment, I will be lowering the amount that I have to save up for the recast. So it kind of goes hand in hand. The less I owe on the loan balance, the less I have to save up to recast because I need 10% of the loan balance. And then I will be doing that every single week. I will be documenting it here. And I will also be doing any sort of like extra income that we have. So bonuses around Christmas time, the monthly bonus that I pay myself out of my business. So I do have it set up to give me a monthly bonus. Every time I get that, I will be putting it toward either the recast or the principal reduction directly. And I will kind of maybe split that or trade it off and figure that out. So yeah, that's my plan. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I do have a 4-step plan for my mortgage payoff. And hopefully in this first year, we are able to make a lot of progress. I am incredibly nervous about it because we don't have a lot of room in our budget to make this work. So a lot of it will rely on me earning more in my business and also making sure that we don't have big expenses. So cutting back on what we're spending because my husband's in school right now. We have kids that are in daycare and there's just a lot going on financially. So we're in that messy middle where there's not a lot of room wiggle room every month in the budget. It's pretty tight, and especially with this newer, higher mortgage, it's very tight. So this will be a fun challenge, and I hope that you are interested and will stick with me as I try to figure out how to make this work, how to pay off our mortgage as fast as possible. And the ultimate goal of this mortgage payoff is to pay it off in 5 years. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier in the video, but I would like to pay this off in 5 years. And I don't at all see a plan for that happening, but I have always risen to the challenge of giving myself a plan and giving myself something like a lofty goal, an ambitious goal, and I think I can do it again. I would love in 5 years to have a paid for home. I think that there's so much value in that. And personally, the peace of mind that I would have as a business owner with unstable, unsteady, inconsistent income, that would be amazing. I know I would sleep better at night knowing that my home would never be foreclosed on again and my kids would always have a place to live. So that's the goal. I hope you follow me here at Pennies Not Perfection as I work to pay off this mortgage. I know it's going to be a big undertaking, but I'm really excited about doing this. As always, thank you so much for the support. I will see you in the next video.